My name is Mary Welch. I'm an interior designer. This one I think is perfect.
I was born and raised in the South, and then I started my design career in New York.
And now I'm in Charleston. My husband Ryan is a rock star, not just figuratively as a dad and a husband, but literally in a band named Umphrey's McGee and another band called Doom Flamingo. A typical morning for me involves yoga or workout of some sort because I need to calm it down, center myself, get grounded, and then I can start focusing and kind of think through things more logically. But I'm also a mom, and I have kids, so silence and stillness are unheard of. So, you just have to roll with punches.
Today I'm surfing with my girlfriend Heidi. I've been learning how to surf this summer, and I absolutely love it. I mean, I'm terrible. Charleston doesn't have the best waves, but it's still so fun to just get out there and learn something new. Besides, I like taking on new challenges.
I love Charleston. This is my home now, and I do truly respect Charleston style, but if I'm gonna put a fish in your space, it's probably gonna have a mohawk on it. I would like to say I'm crazy, fun, and a little bit weird, but in the best ways possible.
You seem like you're always up to lots, though.
I try to stay busy. I sit still well for about 2 weeks. And then I absolutely lose my mind after that.
So you were not doing well in 2020 then?
Well, lucky enough, I was using North Carolina as a stopover because I was moving from Denver to Nashville, and I moved out of Denver in December of 2019 and had put my stuff into storage and was scouting a place in Nashville to move to, and then COVID hit. But I was in North Carolina because my entire family is there now. They have all moved out of Buffalo, and all of the new businesses that we have are all based out of North Carolina.
That's so funny because I was born and raised in North Carolina. So that's really funny.
Where?
Well, my dad was in the military, so Camp Lejeune is where I grew up.
So crazy. That's so crazy. So my brother's company is based in North Carolina, and I had experience working in his industry. So when it looked like the first few months was I just sort of sat and waited, just because no one knew how long this was all going to last.
Mm-hmm.
I was comfortable sitting and waiting for a few months, and I got to be around my two young nephews that otherwise, if COVID hadn't happened, I would have spent very, very little time with them. And instead, the first few months of COVID, just sitting, I was able to spend a ton of time with them and sort of watch them be raised and also have a hand in raising them. And that has meant the world to me. It's something I never would have been able to experience otherwise. So I was okay with just sort of sitting and not knowing. But then when the picture became clear that COVID was going to be a bit more of a long haul, my brother was like, well, look, you know how to work in my industry. Why don't you just come and work for me? So I didn't really have to end up sitting. I actually ended up working 60 hours a week, 6 days a week for my brother, Tony. And I stayed busy and I didn't fester, I just learned a skill set and kept my life moving forward. And a lot of also other huge blessings just kind of fell in my lap, as we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Ultimately it was I got out of that one. Okay.
Good. That's good to hear. Yeah. And it's great that you were able to be with your family. And like you said, be with your nephews. That's something both of you will carry forever. Like your nephews are going to have that time with their uncle. They're going to remember that forever.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very special. And family's always been important to me. And it's always been hard being a touring musician since I was 17 years old. You know, I missed a lot of things. And that can be difficult to bear sometimes, but the fact that I got this opportunity and the fact that I had the presence of mind to really dig into it has made a huge difference in my life. And I hope that my nephews kind of carry that with them too.
They will. They definitely will.
So
let's talk about Peach Festival.
Let's talk about Peach Festival. I sadly could not make it, but my goodness, was there a lot of awesome shit that happened at Peach for everybody, but especially for Turkuaz. So tell me about all of that. I mean, you played with Adrian Belew from King Crimson, and who is Jerry? I have it written here. Jerry Harrison from the Talking Heads. So yeah.
Talk about how that came together. And then I think Turkuaz mentioned the Rising or the Remain in Light show that you guys have coming soon. So talk about
that is the show that we played.
Okay.
And that was the show that we have been putting together since spring of 2019. That was an idea that came about because Jerry Harrison from the Talking Heads actually produced a track with us in the studio in Brooklyn back in 2018. We started working with Jerry. It just felt like the right fit because of how influenced the band's sound has been from the lineage and the history of the Talking Heads. And so it was natural that that any member of the Talking Heads, let alone Jerry, who's, you know, had a huge hand in writing a lot of the tunes and developing the sound and curating sort of the culture of that band. It made sense for him to come on board and to sort of shepherd us through a period where, you know, we wanted some outside influence. You know, for the longest time, we have been sort of a insular band, and we enjoy the fact that the creative process lies within us as a 9-person band. There's so many personalities and experiences to draw from artistically that, like, it was like, why would we need anybody else?
Right.
But, you know, this era came and it was like, let's work with Jerry. And so we worked with Jerry. We had a great experience, and the track that he ended up producing was fantastic. And so then after that was released, you know, we toured on the record for a while. And then between Dave and management, the idea for this Remain in Light show to happen started to kind of percolate, because 2020 was the 40th anniversary of the album Remain in Light by Talking Heads. And that album is, you know, pretty widely regarded as an album that's way ahead of its time. It has some of the Talking Heads' biggest hits on it. And from a production and a musicality standpoint, it's a very forward-thinking album. And, you know, as timeless as it is, there's still some things about it that, like, today a lot of people draw from, even whether they know it or not. And it was because it was the 40th anniversary, it seemed like honoring that in some way felt appropriate. And so we started to draw the plans for doing an entire world tour of that show with Adrian Belew and Jerry Harrison and us, sort of representing sort of a new Talking Heads, you know. And so we had everything on the books. I mean, you know, I can look back in my Google Calendar and see all the spots we were supposed to play. And, you know, we had a big Red Rock show planned. And so when everything got canceled, it kind of hurt. It hurt really bad. It stung. You know, this was sort of like the biggest, most ambitious thing that we had planned. And just like everybody else, it was a real unexpected kind of just kick in the teeth. I sort of have to give a lot of credit to my management team and Jerry and Adrian and also the festival promoters that really wanted to get back to what we had been doing and having the foresight and the courage to throw a festival. I mean, it's a risky thing in general. Without a pandemic, throwing a festival is a risky thing. There's so much involved. When we learned that we were going to be doing this at Peach, it really lit a fire, the reignition of that fire, because we had the first ignition of that was back in 2019 when they were like, you're going on a world tour with the guys from the Talking Heads. It was like we were on the bus just freaking out, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
That's an exciting thing to hear. And so when we learned that, like, after all we had been through, it had just been sort of displaced and moved forward, and then we still had this thing to look forward to. So, and we knew that Peach was going really big, that they were, they had received the okay to be at full capacity, which was so exciting. And so we locked ourselves down at Telefunken Sound Studios in just outside of Hartford, Connecticut, for the week before Peach. And Adrian and Jerry came in, and we were all just hoteled up around the area. And every day we went in for a week, and we had long days. We were there from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. and it was a blast. I mean, to be in a situation where you're around those kinds of guys for that long, it's not just all work. You get to play a little bit, and you get to talk over lunch and dinner breaks and coffee breaks. And Adrian Belew, who is just such a warm-hearted human being, he has a very beautiful childlike nature about him. He's still very playful with music. He still understands that we're playing music, and that word is very important to him. And he's just so jolly, and he like makes dad jokes, and like he's just and pulls his guitar out and he just fucking melts the room down, And to get to stand around him and at a coffee break and have him tell stories to all of us, and we're all like little puppies just like looking at him, like listening to these stories. And he's talking about this tour that he did in 1990 with David Bowie, where it was just him and David Bowie on a private jet doing 106 shows in 27 countries, and they would walk off of a stage and get into a limo and go right to a private jet where there was a stewardess with a lemon drop martini waiting for the both of them, and they would just fly off to the next amazing location. And hearing him just like talk about this, it puts you as an artist and as a fan too in this place where you're just fully washed over with the history and the nostalgia and the importance of what they have done, and also sort of the torch that us as Turkuaz are bearing forward. David Byrne has American Utopia, which is his show, which is like incredible, but I don't really foresee a full reunion for them. And so in that to me personally, like, we're sort of passing on this torch, and we're charged with representing this music in a faithful and respectful manner. And so to be in that environment, put all the band in a real engaged work mode in putting our very best foot forward at every moment with this music. So when it came time for Peach Festival to happen, everything was just buzzing. Everything was just like, you know what I mean?
The energy, yeah.
It was really, really palpable. And, Jerry and Adrian were so excited because they hadn't performed this music live in a very long time. I mean, most of us weren't born. Most of us in the band weren't born when they did the first tour of this album. the live in Rome in 1980. I'm the oldest guy in the band, and I was born in 85. These guys have, not performed this album as a concert in that long, and you could feel their nervous, childlike excitement, and and then, right before us was Oysterhead, and we, the members of our band got to go up on the side stage because that's, the main stage was locked down for that, but we share management with those guys, and so they were like, why don't you come up and hang out with us on stage? And so to stand there, we knew that Peach was a big festival with a lot of people there, and it was going to be probably one of the biggest audiences we had played for. I think they sold 35,000 tickets, and so a lot of us had that nervous energy. But the second that we went up and stood side stage, and we're watching Trey and Les and Stuart Copeland just have a ball, and to look out at the crowd and to see all those people, it actually, and we all sort of said this together, it relaxed us a lot. And so, because it was like the sheer magnitude of it wasn't a shock the first time we walked on stage. We kind of walked out, hung out during Oysterhead. We were able to take in sort of the gravity of the situation. So when we walked out on stage, we were just ready to go. And I remember the first 15 minutes of that show blurred, all these people just like freaking out. And, part of your body and your mind sort of goes on autopilot because you've rehearsed so much. You've been doing, 10-hour days for the last 7 days. And you're just in this moment of just like pure ecstasy. And it was really, really wild. And then all of a sudden, I really sort of remember everything else just sort of became wallpaper. And it was just, so the band in front of me, and I had someone that was in the audience that I wanted at the show and was at the show, and everything just sort of tunnel visioned into that. And it became just like it was one of the best experiences in my life. I'm not going to try to use any funny words to describe it. It was one of the best experiences of my life, and I'll never, ever forget it.
That's incredible.
That's all I have.
It sounds like it. Like, I saw the picture and I'm like, of course we have to talk about this because what an incredible experience. And then to hear that whole story, like, wow. That's all I can really say right now is just wow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much more to say other than that either. It was a very wow moment.
Yeah, that's incredible. What an awesome experience for you as a music fan, but also as a musician. Like, wow.
You work for moments like that, and you don't, you're never guaranteed those moments. And when they come, you have to just be so present to experience it, and then grateful because, you don't know if you're going to get something like that again. That could be the last show I ever play. And if it is, it was great,
Yeah, for sure. Wow. So incredible.
That's right.
Very cool. Well, I personally don't know a lot about Turkuaz at all. And like you said, you've got 9 members. So there's a lot of personalities and a lot of influence and a lot of background and all of these different things. So tell me some more about just Turkuaz as a whole, and tell me how you guys make it work with so many personalities and ideas.
Well, it's a lot of time and a lot of miles, which any family or tribe or group, that's how you figure out what your MO is, what your operating level is. There was 9 of us. I mean, there was 11 of us in the beginning. Eli and Fro from Dopapod, which was my first band, my original band.
Okay.
Eli and I started Dopapod.
Okay.
And then Turkuaz kind of came along to both of us when we were at Berklee College of Music in Boston in 2006, 7, 8, those sort of early aughts. And it was so bombastic and wild and fun and sort of delightfully like out of control that like we just had to be a part of it. And so we were, and it remained that way for sort of a while. And I was really attracted to it, and it seemed more like the right fit for me than Dopapod was. And so that was sort of where that split happened, and I was able to sort of fully put all of my time into Turkuaz. And it's just a wild, it's completely illogical that Turkuaz exists. It's completely illogical, like, to, you know, in a industry where like the record selling aspect of it, like record sales and record deals, like that's kind of gone. A band that was 9 members could exist back then because like they didn't really have to tour that hard, and they could sell records to make their money. But like nowadays, this is a tickets and t-shirts industry. You know, you have to tour. So in the beginning, it was just a lot of just wild roughing it and just being blasted out of our minds on whatever the hell we could find, and playing the wildest shows we could. And that was sort of the beginning of it. It was like throwing fireworks in a dumpster, I think someone once said, and it's like a really good, it was just so insane and explosive. And then we really started to find our groove, and started to develop our own voice, musically and visually. And like I said, it's a lot of time and a lot of miles. You have a lot of experiences with these people. Most of it is living with each other. If you think about what goes down in the day of a professional musician, a touring musician, we're only doing the professional musician thing for like 90 minutes plus encore every night. Mm-hmm. It's a very small percent of the day. Mm-hmm. The rest of the day, like, where are we going to eat? I want coffee. I have to take a shit. I'm tired. I'm super excited. You have to learn how to navigate just living with people. Mm-hmm. That's sort of the way that you learn to make it work. The thing on stage is the thing that, like, that's actually the escape. That's the relief. That's the exhale, right, of the day. Mm-hmm. That's the blessed day. The rest of it is where you really figure out, like, can I make this work with this person? Because the bulk of it is just dealing with people how they are every day. And it's hard enough to do it with 2 people. Mm-hmm. Doing it with 9, and then 9 plus a crew. You know, we tour with 15 people now. Wow. That's a lot of personalities. And, you know, the quality of life that we enjoy now touring versus how we did it in 2010 and 2011 is a lot different, which we're very fortunate for, and we worked very hard for. But, you know, everybody's got their shit. Yeah. And you have to learn to deal with it, and you make a choice. Am I going to love this person enough to forgive them of it? You hope that they're going to love you enough to forgive you of yours, which I am certainly guilty of, like, you know, heaping a whole lot of shit on my bandmates and my friends and my family. You know, I'm only human. Yeah, you're human. Yeah, and but welcome to the club. Yeah, exactly. We, you know, as a band, we really truly love each other very much, and through the years, time and time again, each one of us has been carried across the finish line by another or by the whole group. And when you do that enough for each other enough times, it's very hard to come to a moment where you just say, fuck it, I'm out of here. You know, right. That's how it's because you've just been in the trenches for so long. You just, you know, you do anything for the people to the right and to the left of you. For sure. So that's how Turk.
Well, and it makes sense when you spoke earlier about how important family is to you. So it doesn't surprise me that you would be in a band with a lot of members and feel that way about that. You know, it makes perfect sense when you told me what you did about your family.
Good training coming from a big Sicilian family to be able to be in a crazy band, all kinds of people. I was trained well.
I was gonna say you've been training for that your whole life, so.
Yeah. That was...
So what do you think, we talked about being from a big family and how that helps. So what do you think being from a place like Buffalo and the city that it is of good neighbors? So what do you think being from a city like Buffalo has done for you personally, but then maybe also for you in your career?
It's a great question. I have immense pride of being a Buffalonian. I always will. It's my home. There's something to be said about when someone walks into a building from a fucking blizzard with 3 feet of snow, and they're able to walk in with a smile on their face. I think that is hugely important to your attitude towards the things that you can't control, and just sort of the nature of the ups and downs and the crests and troughs of life. There is a perseverance and sort of an insane optimism, a completely insane. In the worst years of the Buffalo Bills and the Buffalo City, to just believe with all of your heart somewhere deep down that this is the year. When we're touring in Biloxi or Tuscaloosa or Fargo or these faraway places where you have no sleep and you have not been eating properly, you've been partying way too hard, but a full room of people shows up to see you. You have to have the ability to believe that you can go out there and you can play that show, you can score that touchdown, whatever. You have that sort of same insane optimism that this is the night, this is going to be the one, that I can do it, that we can do it. Buffalo is a we city. That, I think, if I had to say what growing up in Buffalo has done for me, what's done for my career, is kindness and a togetherness, and knowing that it's gonna take more than one. It's gonna take more than yourself. But I don't think any other city and any other people get as fired up about being a part of a community as Buffalonians do. When you meet a Buffalonian, and I've met Buffalonians literally all over the world, the second that you meet a fellow Buffalonian, you're bonded for life.
It's like your old friends.
Your old friends, and you can talk about what happened on this street and this year and this place and in Marine Midland, whether it was Marine Midland or HSBC or whatever the fuck it is now. And, you know, it's just this shared purpose of striving and pushing forward and pushing through, that being in a tough industry like the music industry, it takes a lot of stick-to-itiveness. And you know, I think that being from Buffalo has armored me with everything I've needed to get to where I'm at in the music industry. And I still have a lot farther to go, but I know that I'm well equipped. Nice.
That's a great answer. And it's so true. It's so true. I mean, even though I was born and raised in North Carolina, my parents were from Buffalo. So we were always up here anyway. So I just said this to my husband the other day. It felt like I grew up here too. And I feel the same way. I love this city so much. I really do. And the way it's really like grown and rebirthed, and I'm really, really proud of us. I really am.
I am too. That's part of the reason why I'm moving back is to be a part of this seemingly like total new rebirth of the city and people's belief in it. And so we're generationally, like a lot of us have gone away and decided that it's important to us to come back and to reinvest our time and our money and our energy and our love back into the city. And it's really, really exciting because so many cool things are happening. I mean, you know, it's going to be a major player again, and I'm really looking forward to A, seeing it, and B, you know, hopefully being a part of it.
Awesome. Yeah, there's a lot going on with like the music scene around here too. So I'm sure it'll be exciting for you to come back and be a part of that too.
Yeah, I'm gonna get my feet wet a little bit. I know some people.
Yeah, a few.
I know a couple Blue Tree people around town that, you know.
All right, well, let's talk about one person that you know around here that you've been working on a project with. So let's talk about some Death Kings. What's been going on with that lately?
Oh yeah. It's so exciting.
Yeah.
I grew up listening to a lot of heavy music. You know, Ryan, Mike, and I, we all come from sort of 3 points on the rock and roll spectrum. And each of us distinctly sort of has our own position on those 3 points. And mine is sort of really from the heavy metal background, the really, you know, Mike really understands the punk, thrash, hardcore stuff. You know, Ryan shares that and also has a really deep background in the lineage of it all. And I sort of show up sort of somewhere in the middle. And I've always tried to add that sentiment to the things that I play in Turkuaz and in other projects. I like to communicate that hard-hitting sentiment to most of what I do. It's one of the things that sort of define my voice musically. And to finally be able to just fully do that and not have to kind of not hide it, but you know, Turkuaz is a funk band.
Right. Tone it down a little bit.
Yeah. Play like straight up like metal shit.
Right.
Because it's not what the tune calls for, and that's not being a tasteful artist, you know. But
right.
when this came around, you know, Mike and I had always talked about the shared love that we have for bands like Them Crooked Vultures and my favorite band, Queens of the Stone Age. Like that band has changed my entire life. When I first heard them, I saw them live, actually was the thing that changed my whole life. But Mike and I were on a drive from somewhere to somewhere, and I was like, have you heard this album? And I just sort of put it on, and it was Them Crooked Vultures, which is Josh Homme and Dave Grohl and John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin. And he was like, dude, fuck yes. And we just and like headbanged out for like an hour and 20 minutes. And at that point on, we were sort of bonded in that. And it was like, someday we're going to play this kind of music together. And that was back in like 2016, I think, 2015 or 2016. We were playing like a side project thing that we had with Rob Compa from Dopapod. And then we sort of flew a little closer to it. Summer camp in 2018, we had the idea to do Green Day, the album Dookie, like all the way through. And because of scheduling and this, that, and the other thing, it didn't come to pass. But we always knew that sort of seed was sort of gestating in between the two of us. And then when quarantine hit, Mike hit me up and was like, I want you to check out some of these demos that me and Stacey have been passing around. I was, at that point, I was just starving for anything musical to come into my universe. And I listened to it. I remember like the first demo he sent me, I had only listened to about 15 or 20 seconds of it, and I immediately sent him a message back like, dude, fuck yes, I need to be a part of this. I can hear myself playing this music. And I think he got hyped on it, and they were like, all right, well, like, you know, you have a home studio, and I did at the time, and let's like try something. And so we started telephone tagging these recordings, and it really started to make a ton of sense. And then there came a certain point, right, sort of earlier this year, where I said, this music is so important to me, and it's important to all three of us. I said, I don't want to do this from a home studio. There's a guy in Syracuse, New York named Jocko Randall, who owns More Sound Studios. I said, he's the best at this. He's recorded some of the best bands in this genre. He knows this music. I said, I want to go to him, and I want to do this. So I booked a time with him. Mike came, and we recorded in his gorgeous studio, and got really just murderous, violent drum sounds. And we were like, all right, Mike, Ryan, here's the drum sounds. Let's all go to our respective studios and get it done. And so the album's about to be finished in like the next 2 weeks.
That's exciting.
Really, really exciting. And we just announced that our debut show is going to be at Summer Camp Music Festival.
Yes.
We're cutting Sunday. We're one of the last bands to play, and we're so thankful for that opportunity. And
what stage are you guys going to play on? Do you know yet? I was just curious if you were going to be able to do like the intimate punk show idea that Ryan was kind of hoping would manifest for your first show.
Stage.
Okay.
And it's Sunday at like midnight or 2 a.m. or something. It's gonna, like, if anybody's still living at that point of the festival, which I think enough people there, I think it's going to be a huge crowd. But yeah, there's definitely a chance to get up close and to see us in that sort of sweaty rock and roll, right up in your fucking face kind of vibe, which is, sort of what we're going for.
Yeah.
I'm really, really excited about this, because for me, this is a moment of pure musical expression for me. This is not being filtered through anyone else's voice. This is not something where I'm taming myself or censoring myself.
Mm-hmm.
The way that I play this music in the studio, and the way that I plan on playing it live, is with every bit of presence and with every bit of intensity that I have in me. And I have a lot, so I'm really ready to kind of let it loose, let this dog off the leash and let it hunt,
For sure. And I think it's so interesting how eclectic all of these things are that you play, and all the other things that you've like announced or have done, or all these different genres of music and all these different, artists and everything else. Mm-hmm. So how do you prepare for that mentally, musically? Like, how do you prepare for, they're so different, like different sides of your personality almost. So how do you get yourself in the stage of, okay, like you were just at Peach, and so you had this show at Peach, but you're also working on Death Kings at the same time, which is completely different. So mm-hmm. How do you get into those different creative mindsets?
I think it's really, really important it's important to me to just be fully authentic in whatever it is I'm doing. And if that's sort of at the root of it, I can change the color of the flag that I'm waving very easily. But it's sort of still being sort of hoisted by the same rope. And that's the place where it comes from with me is, I have a desperate need to perform. I love doing it, and I need to do it. It's one of the ways that I get to access my true joy. That's like where I am, you know, I'm fully myself in that moment. And just getting to do that, that doesn't change based on which project it is, what artist is. The fun part for me is to be able to sort of be a chameleon and in those moments kind of flip things, figure out how to tweak either my performance or my attitude or my image or my look. Those things get to change to suit the many different things that I do, but it's all coming from the same well of inspiration, which is I'm just definitely put on this earth to play the drums. As long as I'm doing that, I'm okay. You know, that's really what it comes down to. So whether it's metal or rock and roll or tribute shows that I've produced in the past or shows at Jazz Fest where it's a super jam with all the baddest dudes, or you know, putting on the Alanis Morissette fundraiser that I do, or whatever it is, as long as I'm playing the drums, generally I'm okay. The rest of it is just, that's where I get to sort of have my fun with it, is you know, it's going to be Mikey. It's just which version of Mikey is it? And you just kind of just turn the dials a little bit. And I mean, that's sort of the fun part. That's the part about, you know, I think sort of being an artist is figuring out how to communicate the universal non-words, the things that like everybody feels but has like no way to say. It's like I get into these little channels and try my very best to express them and to show the connectivity between all of us and all of these things. So it's all just me.
Just a different side of you, and it keeps it interesting. You're not getting bored, that's for sure.
I'm definitely not getting bored.
That's what's important.
Yeah, there's a funny thing that like kind of like makes sense. In the first Tenacious D record, there's a skit where Jack Black says something like, he's like, all right, it's gig time. What t-shirt am I gonna wear? That's it. That's exactly what it is. It's gig time. What t-shirt am I gonna wear? Am I, you know, if I'm playing a metal show, I'm gonna wear a Queens of the Stone Age shirt or a Motorhead shirt, and if I'm playing something else, I'm gonna have on an Aretha shirt or a James Brown shirt. It's like those are all the little different veins that I get to live in, and it's just such a joy to be able to access all those things and have the freedom and the opportunity to just have fun. It's all fun.
Yeah,
this is a fun job. It really is.
So you're put on this earth to play drums. When did you discover that was your life purpose?
At a Yanni concert at Marine Midland Arena in Buffalo, New York in 1993, I think.
Are you serious?
That's serious.
Okay, after we get off, I'm going to DM you a Yanni story because it's kind of embarrassing and I'm never going to put it on the air. So I'll DM it to you. And that's just really funny that you brought up Yanni. So
I'm a ride or die for Yanni. I love Yanni. Yanni's best. My grandfather, when I was very little, was one of my biggest supporters of being a musician from the age I was, 4 or 5 years old. He gave me Yanni Live at the Acropolis, which is like Yanni's, I think, most like famous live album, or at least it was back then.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, you know.
I know.
Yeah, Yanni in the house. There was this one song on the album, and it's I don't remember the name of it, but it's in an odd meter. It's in 7/8, and there's this one part where, it's in 7/8, and there's like this drum fill that this drummer does on the record that's like so epic. It's like a big giant like Phil Collins like earth-shattering drum fill. And like when I was a little kid, I would like play it on pots and pans or play it on the pillows. And then the Yanni tour came through Buffalo, and I got to go, and the whole time I was dying to see that. I was hoping they were playing that song. I didn't know how live shows went. I didn't know that when you release a record, you tour on the record and you play the songs from the record. So I was like completely unsure if this was going to happen or not, but I was hoping that I was going to see this song live, and they did it. And I was following along in my head and humming along the melody, and came time for that moment to happen where the drummer plays this big sort of through composed section. And it was one of my first big concerts, and there's something to be said about taking in a concert that's on a huge stage with huge lights, especially if you're young. I mean, it can happen to anybody at any time, but to have that happen as a child is like really profound. And when that moment of that song came, all the lights on the rest of the band went out, and it was like the drummer was just lit up, and all of a sudden it was like seeing this, like, it was like this fortress. The drums like just formed this thing around this guy, and I just got so like turned on by that. And he played the fill, and it was just so loud in this arena. And by the time he just like hit the one, it just, everything exploded for me. And it was like, that was it.
Wow.
That was like the moment where I was like, if I don't do that shit for the rest of my life, I will be an unhappy person. I just knew that.
Wow.
I knew I wanted to have that moment. I knew I just knew that like I could do that. And so I just started doing everything in my power to do that. And now I'm talking to you. So I guess.
Yeah. So I guess you did it.
I got a lot of figuring out to do, but I think getting there, I think I kind of got there.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. I mean, yeah, what was it, like 8th grade? We were in together, and you were already doing talent shows and Battle of the Band and all the things.
I was on a mission.
You were already playing with everybody, even back in middle school and everything. So it's no surprise. It
was, I think it was out of my hands. I think it always has been out of my hands. I'm just sort of along for the ride.
That's all right.
Catching the wave,
For sure. So what drummers are you influenced by now, maybe when you were growing up and just learning your craft, and maybe now too?
Growing up, I was never very good at like listening to records. There's a lot of people that like, a lot of musicians that talk about like how much these records influenced them as kids. I don't seem to really have a lot of memories of like a lot of that experience, or having like albums that like stuck with me and stuff. It was more my teachers. I had 2 really good teachers in Buffalo, a guy named Rob Lynch and a guy named John Bacon. Those guys had a really profound effect on me because I was engaging in the act of drumming with them, and sort of them alone. So their guidance and their approval and their discipline was sort of everything to me in the beginning. It was only when I think I got to high school, when I was in the jazz band, the concert band, the all county stuff, the all state stuff at St. Joe's, where I really started to like think about who I was listening to and what effect it was having on me. And back then it was like, it was a lot of jazz. It was a lot of stuff that had sort of come from my grandfather, stuff that had come from my mother. My mother was always listening to Earth, Wind and Fire in the house. My dad listened to a lot of Barry White. There was always like funk happening. It was always like a lot of good black music that was happening that I was exposed to at a pretty young age. Then it really became apparent to me that really like what I pay attention to is sort of like what's in front of me. And when I moved to Boston in 2006, the first drummer that like I became really attached to spiritually was Nikki Glaspie. Nikki's the drummer of the Nth Power and of Maceo Parker, and was the drummer of Beyonce, and is just like, to me, probably the most important drummer in my life in terms of attitude and style and nerve and just the way that she carries herself on stage. I used to watch her at this club down the street from the college. It was called Wally's. Wally's, for a lot of like Wally's is legendary in Boston. Wally's has a lot to do with bands like Lettuce and Soul Live, and Sam Kinninger and Nikki and her crew and the ABs, the cats that are in Boston to this day, Aaron and Amy Bellamy. And there was something about watching Nikki play. Nikki plays with absolute command. She commands not only the drums, but the stage and the band that she's with in a way that's not overtly aggressive or overbearing. There's a trust there. Everyone just knows that she's putting it right where it needs to be. Mm-hmm. No question where the groove is. There's no question where the time is at. It's like Nikki was always there. And she had a way of communicating with her face what was coming, what should come. I just took she was the most transformative drummer for me in my whole life, was Nikki. There's a lot about myself as a drummer that I think is absolutely and unquestionably due to being brought up under Nikki. And the other person that's had, as equal as effect on me is Sput, Robert Sput, Searight, the drummer of Ghost Note. Mm-hmm. But I met in Brooklyn. He came into a club I was playing at in, I think, 2014, maybe 2013. And they were doing something with Snarky Puppy. And at that point, I didn't know who Snarky Puppy was. But they stopped in for like a drink and we're checking out this band, and it was us. And Sput just kind of came through and he was like, "Yo, we gotta stick around." He's like, "I gotta talk to this drummer." And we ended up hitting it off that night, and always kind of just sort of stayed in touch. And when I found out who he was and what he's done, I was like, "Oh shit, dude."
You're like flattered, like, "Oh, you want to meet me? Oh, okay."
This dude, really, really heavy dude, and that started a relationship of very direct mentorship. And I mean, if I was going to describe the relationship that I have with Sput, it's so interesting because it's brother, and it's also uncle, and it's teacher and mentor and fellow goofball. Sput and I have done a bunch of really stupid, wild shit together. But he's also taught me a lot about this industry, a lot about authenticity, and about fatherhood and brotherhood and mentorship and friendship. He's been a very, very important person in my growth as not only a drummer and musician, but as a human being. I think if I was going to say that there was two people that did it, I think it was Nikki and Sput really have had the most profound effect on me.
That's incredible. So then what would you say has been the greatest piece of advice that maybe either one of them gave you?
Sput says, "Stay ready, ain't got to get ready."
All right.
That's really, really has been incredibly important to me, because there's a lot of situations in this industry where, and in life in general, where things are just going to come your way. And the ones that are sort of ready to catch the ball or ready to throw the ball or whatever, those are the ones that they're seen as the lucky ones. I think a lot of the time the lucky ones are like, oh, you got this opportunity. A lot of people get those opportunities and they drop the ball because they're not ready for it. But Sput has just always said, stay ready doesn't have to get ready. And being of that mindset musically has really put a lot of food on my plate.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's if you just sort of, you know, if you played, I could give you 4 Spotify tracks of mine that are completely different musically. And almost all of them came about because I was ready to do that kind of music, because I was listening to everything. I was practicing everything. I wasn't pigeonholing myself or sort of burying my head in the sand, so to speak. I was always trying to be present, always keeping my chops and my skills and my ears as open as I could. And that was how I interpreted what he told me. That's been one of the most important things that can apply to anybody in the world.
Absolutely.
Just stay ready doesn't have to get ready. There's no time where you're like, oh shit, where's my stuff? It's like, it's all on you. It's like, you got it. You're ready to go. These moments happen like that. And if you're not ready, they're going to move on to the next one very, very fast. And if you can't, yes, I can, like that, it's on to the next and you're in the dust. Yeah. So that's been a really important thing for me. And Nikki, I think I can't give you a direct quote from Nikki, but the one thing that I've always seen Nikki do, which has been extremely important, is as an artist, I think she plays music that means something to her. That to me, that means that, like, in this vocation of being a musician, the opportunity that you're given, the blessing that you're given to be able to do this, the reciprocity in that requires of you to be authentic and to play what you know you can give some meaning to. And I think Nikki has always done that, and that's something that I hold dear to me. You know, if someone asked me, and I've actually done this in real life, people have called me and said, like, hey, I'm doing a reggae record. I want you to be my drummer. And I will tell them flat out, I really appreciate you calling me. I don't know shit about how to play real reggae, and I don't want to do it just justice. And like, I will be, like, second guessing myself and just shitting all over your music. So here's the number of this guy, this guy, this girl, this guy. This is the people that can really do it. I can't do it. That example that she has set of authenticity and following your heart and sort of speaking with your true vocabulary is something that's guided me in the choices that I've made and the places that it's since put me in. I love Nikki.
She seems like a really badass girl. I have not checked her out very much, except for you. You are the reason why I started seeking her out some more. And I was like, oh, this is who she is. I'm like, damn. All right.
She's a very important person right now in music and in this world. She's a beacon of music and love. And I think those are the 2 most important things going on right now. So
100%. That's awesome. I'm so glad that you brought her up, and we talked about her a little bit before too. So I'm grateful for that, because like I said, I didn't know much about her, and so I'm really glad that I've learned some more about her.
Yeah.
My daughter was really stoked about it too. She's a keyboard player. She's been taking lessons with Joel all during quarantine, and so she thinks that, you know, female rock stars are really awesome. So
it's a really important thing, and I think it was Jennifer Hartswick that said something on Instagram just recently that really struck a chord.
Yes, I know what you're gonna say. Yeah.
That she cannot wait till the day comes that an all-female band is not seen as like a thing, or like it's not. It just should be.
It's just a band.
It's just a band of incredible musicians. Those things, you know.
I feel that way about anything. It should never be like when you're describing something, you know, it should never be like a female astronaut or female. It's just like, it's like, we don't say male astronaut, male, whatever. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
That's something that I've actually, it's become like a standard retort for me, but like people say like to me, like, oh, Nikki Glaspie, she's the best female drummer. And I'm like, motherfucker, she's the best drummer.
Period.
Why are we talking about that? She's the best drummer. When she's playing the drums, all the dudes are all standing around like,
yeah. She's owning the room.
So who's really fucking in charge here? Like, what are we talking about? You know what I mean?
Yes.
And you know, we're not there yet, but to hear that your daughter is psyched about seeing someone do what she does and seeing it on a level that allows her to dream is the most important thing that you can do in terms of setting an example, is making dreams reality for people. That's just like, what a gift. And Nikki just does it with such grace. It's just like, it's just fucking dope. And that's why she's my favorite musician. Yeah.
I hope I get to see her play live now that music is back again, because I would love that.
You will. I can almost guarantee it.
So what is something that you never leave home for tour without, besides equipment, of course, but what is something that like is personally like really important to you that you take with you?
Deodorant?
That's just to be nice to your bandmates, right? That's just for the courtesy of your bandmates.
You're on week 7 of a bus tour. Deodorant, human decency. What's something I always take with me? I travel light, but that's such a good question. There's not anything that I've been doing this for a pretty long time. I can't say that there's one thing that I have always carried with me. If we're going to get like metaphysical with it or spiritual for a second, I think
I'm so here for that, so go right ahead.
Right. I don't think there's anything physical, that one item that I've always carried with me since I was 17. I've been doing this professionally since I was 17. I'm about to turn 36, so that's like 18 years. There's no one item that I've always had with me that stuck with me that whole time, but a conversation, an open line of conversation with the outside world, with the universe, with, be it God or a creator or anything, a white fluffy rabbit, whatever the fuck it is, something that you need to talk to. Honestly, I would say that's the one thing that I've always carried with me, is a willingness to, in private moments, have a little humility and to admit, almost, you know, I mean, I grew up Catholic. It's almost like confession, but to be able to have a time and a place to exhale, and maybe cry if you have to. I mean, it's a very emotional thing to do, to be traveling, to not be in a home, like to not have these things that so many people take for granted. Sleep in the same bed every night, showering in your own bathroom, you know, all those kinds of things. Being a musician is kind of it's a weird choice to make, but we make it for a reason. With it comes the invitation to be connected to something that's on another plane or otherworldly or whatever you want to call it. And I think the one thing I've always had is a willingness to just sort of talk to somebody or something that's maybe like a man in the sky or something like that, but a place to go where you can really let it all out, because it's really easy to empty out your cup as a performer. And it takes a lot of really hard, it's taken me a lot of hard, really shitty lessons to learn that you have to take time to refill it, that you're not invincible. I think it's actually, I mean, music is the one thing that has sort of like never ever turned its back on me or has given up on me, as much shit as I've sort of put it through or my life surrounding it. But I guess I would call it faith is the one thing that like I've always been able to like carry with me. Doesn't take up any room in my luggage, you know?
Yeah.
No one,
and it's the most important thing to carry, though, for sure.
It's because when it really comes down to it, when you're in a green room that's actually a closet and there's 11 of you and no one has any room to change or to get ready or to feel comfortable or to just like pick their fucking nose. It's like everyone is just asses to elbows, and you've been doing that for so long and you haven't seen your loved ones or your family for God knows how long. It's freezing and you're not getting paid. It's like to be able to just like say, man, I really hope this goes well, and I'm really happy to be here, and I'm sorry for acting like an asshole last night, you know, and you just get to put that out there. It saves your life sometimes. I know it definitely sort of saved mine in a major way. So I would say that's what I've always carried with me. That's what I never leave home without.
Your faith. Well, and it's great to have those conversations. You know, sometimes it helps you realize, you know, where you need to maybe show up better or, you know, whatever. So it's very important to have that relationship, because at the end of your days, it's you and whatever you believe it is, whatever you call it. So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So that's that.
Been very, very, yeah.
Awesome. So you play with so many people. If you could choose anybody to play with, living or dead, this is totally cool.
Ooh.
If you could play with anybody, I'm so here for the hard questions.
Really are. Jeez. If I could play with anybody. Oh, wow. This is so hard, Sarah. Question.
You're like, damn it, I should have asked for questions beforehand so I could have prepared.
I know, we should have prepped for this. I need my attorney. Where's my attorney? Oh, boy. If I could play with anybody. You know, I really, when I play double drums with Sput, there's something that's like just so special to me about that. If I could play with anybody right now, I would just love to play double drums with Sput. I haven't seen Sput in a long time. The longest we've been physically away from each other. And we had a lot of long phone conversations during quarantine, and we're involved in a lot of things together during that time that were non-musical, that were social justice based and based in, race relations and Black Lives Matter. And we, it was just a couple of times I just remember having phone conversations with him where he would call me and out of nowhere, I wouldn't talk to him for a little while, and he'd just say like, man, I just want to tell you I love you. And those like moments were never more clear to me than we were playing the drums together. When we were playing the drums together, it is just like this feeling of just like joy and freedom and purpose that really gives me like everything I need to keep going. And I miss that a lot. So if there's anybody I could play with right now, it would be Sput.
Nice. Hopefully you guys will be able to play together soon though.
Yeah, it's coming.
Nice.
I just really want
it. So what are some things that you're into that are not music related?
I like to read. I'm a big fan of Alan Watts. I read a lot of his books. I listen to his lectures. I like long walks on the beach. Actually, I do.
Actually, that is true. So
walks on the beach are so sick.
Get a nice sunset going.
Yeah,
fuck yeah.
Doesn't like long walks on the beach. I don't know. It's a really good question. It changes. So, I mean, like sometimes things sort of come in and out of my life. Like I guess you would call them like hobbies. I've always played golf. I've been a golfer since I was the same age I started playing drums, which is like 5 years old. I like fighting. I like boxing. I like getting beat up and beating other people up. I think that's really fun as a sport, never as a thing that happens for some stupid reason. I like being competitive. I have a competitive nature to me. I like to hit things, so that drumming, fighting thing sort of as a
yeah, you're saying that and I'm like, yep, makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. I love to cook. I grew up around restaurants and families with restaurants and hospitality, and so food is a big passion of mine. Yeah, I think that's it. Nice. Maybe I'll crocheting or something, but for now, I'm in.
Nice little like side business, scarves by Mikey. That'd be cool.
I mean, if I could start selling that on Etsy and get all my other musician friends to buy my scarves, maybe I'd get to buy that. I don't know I don't know. I want anything. Maybe a jet ski. I kind of want a jet ski.
There you go. Just like help support my jet ski fund.
Yeah, just make scarves for jet skis.
I like it.
That's the name of my new GoFundMe.
I like that.
Yeah,
I do like that.
Do it.
So let's talk about Umphrey's McGee. So have you seen them live? I never assume, because some people are like, actually, I've never seen them live. And I'm like, okay, cool.
We've Turkuaz has opened for Umphrey's at Red Rocks before.
Yes, I was there. I was going to get to that because I hadn't seen you play drums since like 8th grade. And so like all this life happens. And then I go to Red Rocks for the very first time, my first time at Red Rocks, this iconic venue. And then the drummer of the opening band, like, it was like, what the hell? This is so fucking crazy right now.
That is completely crazy. Yes, I've seen them in that moment, and playing all the festivals that we've always sort of like run into each other at. The way that the festival season works is like, all the bands go off on their fall and their spring and their winter tours individually, and then summer season is festival season, and that's like one 5-month long summer camp where we all get to like meet back up and like check in with each other and find out how everybody's doing and see our bands play. And so I've seen Umphrey's, you know, at least a dozen times. Umphrey's is sort of a placeholder for me, the way I see, you know, how to carry yourself as a musician. I think those guys care a lot individually about how they sound. I think they bring that into a band setting, which only elevates the sound of the band. And I have a lot of individual respect for each of them for holding themselves to that standard individually. And then as a band, they have developed a voice which is theirs. I think there's not a time I've been at a festival where Umphrey's is playing and I'm unable to pick out that it's Umphrey's. Every time Umphrey's 100%. Has been always like, that's Umphrey. I know what that sound is. Mm-hmm. And that's a testament to their time, their miles together. That's something that they've cultivated. Also, they hold themselves to a high standard musically, but also I really respect their aesthetic in marketing. They're very smart business people. They have a really, really good team. And even the musicians themselves, especially, you know, my closest relationship is with Ryan. And Stasek has an eye and an imagination and a color palette in his mind that's going where he sees these things. And the second that you make them reality, they come alive. Like he's very prolific, not just with his hands and music, but with his eyes and his mind. I think all of them sort of have cultivated a thing where like their merch sticks out amongst others. Their merch doesn't feel hidden to me. Like there's a lot of bands where I was like, oh, did you see me? I was wearing this shirt. And I'm like, no, I didn't fucking see that. But like, if someone is wearing their gear, like I see it. And to be successful and to sustain in this industry takes that. And I think they have it in spades. And basically, I think that's something that I strive to be as a musician and for my own band is to achieve that level of intelligence and maturity and wisdom, taking all of their miles into account and turning that into an experience that fans can engage in and music lovers can engage in. But let's face it, this is a business and this is how we pay our bills and feed our families, and they do well at it. And it's something that I respect as a business person myself. Watch carry themselves. I think there's a lot to learn from an organization like that. And also you can just go up and talk to them individually and they're like really cool people. That's more important than anything else. But I think the culmination of all those things makes them that much larger than life to me, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what I love about them is they're so personable.
They rock super hard too.
Of course.
I love that. You know, I played like a funny little, like, it was the Jam Bass 20-year anniversary party at Sweetwater in Mill Valley, California. And it was like me and Jen Hartswick and Kras was there and Joel was there. And like, we played music that was like, we'd never played together before. We just had such a good time. And then like, we were just like sitting on a park bench, like outside, was like chatting about having babies and stuff. And it's just, you know, they're real human beings. And sometimes it's, you know, when you see someone on stage and there's lights and there's sound and it's so big, you forget that like, this is a human being that has a home to go to and a family, and they're not normal, but they're human. And it's so easy to forget that. But like you said, they're so approachable and they're like good human beings. That's the most important thing. They're good human beings. I really, really love that about them.
That's what I take from them mostly as inspiration, is how they're able to do what they love and have been so successful at it, which that in itself, like you said, is a testament for anyone, you know, living your life and doing what you love.
Yes.
and being able to provide for your family, but not being a stereotypical rock star.
Yeah, they have sacrifice.
Things that you hear, it's like they rage these shows and then they go to their kids' little league, like
yeah, like Ryan's like whole thing with like his little girls and his wife is like, it's like basically what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
If I'm lucky enough to be a father, like I'm taking like so many pages out of Stacek's book, because like he's doing it right, and he has an amazing wife who's probably props Ryan up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, a very powerful woman, and it's like,
she is. She's incredible. I'm very lucky to call her a dear friend of mine, and she's an incredible woman. She's a goddess. I tell her all the time she's a goddess. She really is.
Yeah, her show is here on HGTV, Breaking Bland.
I know. I'm so excited. It's on my birthday too, so I'm gonna sit and eat cake and watch it.
On August 4th, right? That's your birthday?
Yeah, that's my birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're a blessed bunch of human beings, and I'm happy that my friendship with them and that family and that tribe is just starting to blossom. I think there's a lot I can gain from being around people like that.
For sure. So talk a little bit about Kris Myers then as a drummer.
Kris is a bad boy.
Yeah, he is.
Kris is a bad boy.
Yeah.
I've seen Kris in a lot of different situations. I've seen him put on clinics. I've seen him play straight ahead music. I've seen him play crazy fusion shit. I've seen him play completely improvised shit. I've seen him play pretty much anything. And I see that he has that fluidity that he's done his homework. He knows what's going on. He has a respect for his craft, and he tries to hold himself to a standard similar to my own, where I always want to do my best. I know that it's coming from me, and that all that I have to do is sort of turn a couple of knobs to make sure that I hit that one thing right. And the fact that he's at a young age as prolific as he is something that I'm constantly impressed with, and something that I respect a lot about him. He's a great drummer. He's a great dude too. We've had a lot of fun. We've had a lot of stupid giggles all over the country. He's a good dude. Kris is a great guy and a great drummer. I have a lot of respect for him.
Yeah. So if you could replace him on the kit for an Umphrey's tune, have you ever thought about what tune you'd like to play with them?
I want to do their Led Zeppelin show with me.
Ooh.
I have thought about that.
That answer you had right away.
I was ready for that. I didn't know you were going to ask that. I was super ready. I've seen them. I saw them do it.
Jason Bonham was there that year that you guys were there.
Yes, he was.
Oh shit, man.
Yeah, that was uh-oh. Did I just go black for a second? Am I still there?
Yeah, there you are now. No, you're good.
Getting to watch that was really special. That music is Led Zeppelin is very, very important to me and to my growth and to my style. John Bonham is one of my favorite drummers of all time in the lexicon of like legendary drummers. It's sort of him and Clyde Stubblefield, James Brown's guy, like as the two. If you had to sort of pick out where I come from, it's really those two things. And to see that music reproduced in such a way, like I remember being at the show and just being so excited to be feeling it. There's a certain thing about listening to a record that's great, but being at a concert, one of the things like science-wise, like what you're experiencing at a concert is air is being pushed at you. You're physically being hit with air at different vibrations, and that creates a different sensation. To physically feel Led Zeppelin in that way was like so fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was.
It was so, and I just wanted to be back there. I just wanted to be back there, and I wanted to be the one hitting the drums. So if there's ever a time, gentlemen, if you're listening, if Kris, catches COVID again, I'll jump Led Zeppelin set for sure. That's where I'm at.
Nice. So did you get to meet Jason Bonham?
I did not. I had a couple of beers and I decided that it was not time to talk to Jason Bonham.
Yeah.
Professional decision.
Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah, I think it was for the best. Maybe someday I'll meet him. Maybe someday I won't. But I rocked really hard at that show, and then I went home and went to bed. And so I sort of put that night. I enjoyed it. I rocked out. I opened for them. And it was great. And then I went to bed, as a good boy should, right?
Exactly. What is that phrase? Nothing good happens after 2 a.m. or something like that.
The only thing open after 2 a.m. are emergency rooms and legs. I've heard old salty man at a bar say that one time. I've been in both places. Both are pretty wild. So.
Especially at 2 a.m. So was that the first time Turkuaz played Red Rocks?
No, we had opened for Lettuce at Red Rocks in 2000 and was it 2021? I think it was 2017. I think it was the first year. I think Umphrey was a year after that. We had another year with Green Sky Bluegrass. I played Red Rocks separately with Organ Freeman when I was playing in drums for Organ Freeman for a while. So that wasn't the first time, but every time you get to go back, it's a magical experience. It's Red Rocks.
Yeah, it's Red Rocks.
Yeah, it's like Mecca. So
besides there, what have been some of your other favorite venues to play?
Let's see. The Fillmore in San Francisco is a room that just has a ton of ghosts and a ton of history in it.
Mm-hmm.
Playing there is, I always feel like a little something kind of special there. For me, playing at Town Ballroom in Buffalo is something that I always heard about when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know if it would ever happen for me as a young kid. I just didn't know if it was in the cards. That was really special every time we've played there, and the city of Buffalo has always come out and supported myself and the band in a big way, and it's always meant a lot to me. The Blue Note Jazz Club in Tokyo will always remain a place in my heart that like really changed my life in an amazing way. Is playing, we did 2 nights at the Blue Note in Tokyo, and that was something where it was playing for an audience that's completely different than a raucous American audience. It's a sit down jazz club, and they're sitting down and they're intently paying attention to your every move, everyone's move. They're listening. It's an actively listening room, and that's a really different situation to be in.
Mm-hmm.
And it changed the way that we played. And eventually, which was maybe the most joyous part of the night, was by the end, everyone in the audience disregarded the rule that like you're supposed to just sit there and clap, and they were all up and dancing. And you could see there was sort of this energy where they were like, is this cool? Like, can we be doing this? Like, they're looking at each other like, what the fuck are we doing here? But like, they were just like freaking out and dancing, clapping. And like, there was this very palpable cultural exchange of, we're gonna sort of play by your rules for a little bit, and we're gonna see if we can do that, if we're capable of doing that. And we were. And we got so excited, and they got so excited that then they were like, all right, we're going to play by your rules, and we're going to get up and like freak out. And it was just such a beautiful 2 nights of music. Those recordings are on Nugs, and you can still hear them, and you can hear the sort of the energy in the room. That was a very special place to play. It was a special place to visit and a special place to play. We're going to be back there in 2022, and I really can't wait. That was life-changing. And then anytime you play in New Orleans during Jazz Fest and Jam Cruise, those 2 moments are always like, everyone is just there for the music. There's like no one in the room that's like looking to see if the football game is on TV, everyone is like, that's what they live for. The musicians and the patrons, there's no difference between the stage and the audience. We're all there to just get down on the same thing. Anytime you're at Jazz Fests or Jam Cruise, those two parties are something I always look forward to every year.
That's cool. I want to go to Jazz Fest so bad. I just want to go to New Orleans anyways, but it's on the bucket list.
Do it.
Okay. All right.
Seriously.
I'm doing more of that. Like now that everything's starting to open up more now, I'm just like, do it. We're doing it. Let's go.
Say yes. Just keep saying yes. The more you say yes, the better it gets.
Universe will figure out a way to provide you to get there.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's everything I have.
That's great. This has been a lot. Really appreciate it.
This has been a lot of fun. This has been so much fun. So thank you for taking the time to do this.
Thank you. It means a lot. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to share or promote or anything before we wrap it all up?
Go to Death Kings Official on Instagram. Also the Death Kings Facebook page. Also, obviously, my band, Turkuaz Band. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Follow my two boys in Death Kings, Mike Ganser and Ryan Stasik. And our album is coming soon. It'll be out, I think, probably August, hopefully around the time of summer camp. And please, if you're at summer camp, come and see Death Kings. And keep your ears and your eyes open because we're coming for you.
Awesome. I can't wait. I'm so here for it. I'm excited. I'm trying to get to summer camp. And then we saw that the other day. My husband's like, Death Kings. I'm like, here we go. I guess we're going.
No, you're going. I'll see you there.
I mean, you and Ganser are going to be here now. So, I mean, you could always play Death Kings in Buffalo. Just saying.
That's definitely going to be happening. That's going to be one of the places we plant our big flag is our home city of Buffalo, New York. So you'll see us there.
You need anything, I'm here for it.
Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate you. Thank you very much for everything.
Yeah. Thank you. This was really wonderful.
It was. Thank you.
All right. Well, when you're back in town, hit me up.
I will, for sure.
All right. Well, have a great rest of your night.
You too. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.